Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to the Oro Sports Show's special coverage of the 2019 NBA Draft, which is, of course, taking place tonight. And we wanted to go ahead and get out in front of and tell you who we think is going to be picked in the first round of the draft. I am Matt Harrelson, of course, alongside with me, Jeremy McKenzie and Bran Faw. And guys, the band is back together.
That's right.
Yes.
Good to see you.
So, we're going to go ahead and jump right into this thing with the Pelicans going up first. Jeremy, who we got?
With the first overall pick in the 2019 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Zion Williamson for Duke University. The easy prediction in the history of predictions. There's a better chance the sun doesn't rise tomorrow, and there is of New Orleans looking at the most hyped prospect since LeBron James saying nay.
Yeah, so we all know there's no chance that the Pelicans don't take Zion right?
No chance.
I think that one's, and as it says there, probably the easiest prediction out of everything in this draft. So first off the board, Zion Williamson. Who's up next, Bran?
All right, with the number 2 pick in the 2019 NBA Draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Ja Morant from Murray State, a guard. You know, the Grizzlies have officially moved on from the Mike Conley era with him on the way to Utah.
Yep.
And now Morant is the perfect replacement to step in. He's comfortable in the smaller markets, and he's unselfish enough to guide the team in the right direction, and a stud, I think.
Absolutely. And one of those guys who, you know, obviously being at a smaller market, didn't get a whole lot of coverage this year. Nothing like the guy going in front of him.
That's right.
There's some people that say he actually might be the best prospect in this draft, even with Zion sitting
He's my
there.
son's favorite player.
Is he?
Yeah.
That's a good one to have. Up next, I've got the New York Knicks picking third in the 2019 NBA Draft, taking R.J. Barrett from Duke University, another forward. So 3 picks, 2 Dukies. Now, he still has a lot of room to grow, particularly as a shooter, and the Knicks could move this pick in a trade for a star player. That wouldn't surprise anybody, perhaps one with a single eyebrow, but that's already happened. There was also some chatter that they could be looking to move down, though that probably wouldn't make much sense. Now, as this pick is currently sitting, R.J. Barrett would be a good pick. As I mentioned, they probably wanted to try and get Anthony Davis.
Yep.
If you're a Knicks fan, you're feeling a little disheveled right now, aren't you?
Yeah, you are, absolutely.
Yeah.
No way they moved down, I think, by the way.
No.
I think they'll stay where they are.
Yeah, I mean, as a Knick, if you're a Knicks fan, you know, it seems like you haven't been in the playoffs in I don't even know how long. So at this point, you know, you let Kristaps Porzingis go, it's time to rebuild. So who's up next, Jeremy?
With the 2019 NBA Draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Darius Garland, guard, Vanderbilt.
All right.
The Pelicans will probably do the clutch thing here and take Garland, a scoring guard who they'll pairs with Lonzo Ball, a most polished player like Virginia's DeAndre Hunter. Might help more right away, but Garland's ceiling is higher.
Yeah, and obviously this is part of one of the biggest things we've seen this offseason. Of course, Anthony Davis being traded to the Lakers for what I think was a haul for the Pelicans.
Yeah, great trade for them.
Yeah, absolutely. They got, obviously they have the number 1 pick. They now have the 4th overall pick.
Yep.
Plus you got Lonzo Ball, you got Josh Hart, you got, who else? They traded one more guy, Brandon Ingram, another former Dookie. So I think right now the future still very bright for New Orleans. I don't see them. Do you think maybe they actually got better with this trade?
It's hard to say you let Anthony Davis go and got better.
Yeah.
But, I mean, my gosh, that's a load of young talent draft picks. I mean, we might look like on this like 5 years like the Jimmy Johnson steal from the early 90s in football. I mean, I think it's a great trade for them.
You know what? You know who won this is the Lakers because they got rid of LeVar Ball.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. True story.
Because even New Orleans for them is, you know, you can look at the future New Orleans in the next 5-10 years. You can look at a team that's pretty much a contend for a championship.
Could be, especially as we move forward and see how Zion develops.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's expecting him to be the next LeBron. Now, that's a lot of pressure to put on a kid. I don't know that he's quite there. I think he needs to work on some things like his shooting. But future very bright down in
he had a great interview with
Orleans.
Robin Roberts the other day on TV. A couple days ago, and just seems very grounded, very down to earth. He's ready. He's ready.
He's a good kid. All right, who we got next, Bram?
With the 5th pick in the 2019 NBA Draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Jarrett Culver, a guard from Texas Tech. Now, Culver has great size for a shooting guard with a chance to be an impact player on both ends of the court. One of the stars of the NCAA tournament, Culver is a good ball handler that'll pair well with Colin Sexton in the Cavs backcourt of the future. And just really, if you saw him in the NCAA tournament, extremely exciting player to watch.
Absolutely.
Love him.
And I think pairing him up with Colin Sexton, I mean, look, obviously they've got to move on from the LeBron era.
Yeah.
He's not coming back a third time,
No.
folks. Colin Sexton, one of Russell's favorite guys, of course, an Alabama Crimson Tide. I think that would be a good pick for the Cavs. Up next, with the 6th overall pick, the Phoenix Suns take DeAndre Hunter, a forward from Virginia. You're talking about stars of the NCAA tournament. Scouts love Hunter's size and defensive instincts. Now, he's the kind of player that will add to a team that needs culture, and right now the Suns certainly could use some of that. Now, Phoenix is desperate for a point guard, but if Hunter's here, they got to take him. Devin Booker needs some help in the desert.
Got to take him. I mean, I think DeAndre Hunter. Now, I know he may not be the best long term, but he may be the most NBA ready right now at the top 6.
I think he can absolutely say that.
I think he's a great player.
Yes, he is. All right, who's up next?
With the 7th pick in the 2019 NBA draft, the Chicago Bulls draft Kobe White, guard from the best team, Chapel Hill.
That's right, baby.
There are some questions as to White's national point guard abilities, but the Bulls will have to take those risks. Chicago's future in the front court is set, but it needs someone who can run the offense, and White is the best option available.
Now, look, we've sat here for all college basketball season and talked about, Kobe White. First of all, Nasir Little was supposed to be that super freshman. Kobe White said, hang on a second, don't overlook me. And now we've got him going in a top 10 position here.
Yep.
I'm curious how he's going to do at the next level. But would you guys agree that he was ready to go even though we hated to see
I
it?
didn't want him to go, but he was ready.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't going to be projecting any higher than 7 next year, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a couple spots.
I'm sure he talked to some folks. They said, look, man, you can go in the top 10. You have to go, right?
I mean, who turns down that?
Exactly. All right, so who's up next, Bram?
With the 8th pick in the draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Cam Reddish out of Duke, a forward. Now, the Hawks have 3 of the top 17 picks in the draft, and, they could certainly be a team that might move up if the right thing comes along, but if they don't move up, I mean, they really afford to take a gamble here. Reddish is athletic and just another great. Duke had so much talent you forgot about him in a way.
Yes,
but
you
a
did.
great player.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, 8 picks, 3 Dukies coming off the board.
And
shows you how stacked they were this year.
And even Reddish pairing up with Paul Millsap, hey, you might get something good out of it.
And you got Trae Young down there.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
That's right.
again, one of these younger teams, the future could be bright down in hot Atlanta. Up next, with the 9th overall pick, the Washington Wizards will select Jackson Hayes, our first center off the board out of the University of Texas. Now, scouts and evaluators, they love Hayes, who can affect the game on both ends with his length and athleticism. Now, currently, he's been rising on a lot of draft boards and could very easily be gone before this pick. So we'll have to wait and see what happens tonight with that. But first center off the board. And look, Washington's in a kind of weird situation where you're paying John Wall all of this money, and he's hurt. You're not even going to have him for most of next year. You got Bradley Beal sitting there. Perhaps it's time for the Wizards to take a page out of my book, like I've been talking about the Hornets, start to rebuild.
You can think about it. I mean, I think it's something to consider.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Who's up next, Jeremy?
With the 10th overall pick in the 2019 NBA draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Boy, center out of Oregon. One of the biggest boom or buzz prospects in the draft, but there has never been a quite player like Boy. He has amazing length and the skill to knock down 3-point shots in transition, but he's also slightly coming off a foot injury.
Yeah, so, and this has to be the best name in the draft, Bull. Don't know where that came from. Don't know why he's got the same first and last name.
Either.
However, it's not on our sheet here, but this guy's like 7'2", a wingspan of a mile. So,
and you know who his dad is?
Yeah, Manute, right?
Yeah, a great bloodline.
Absolutely. And he should be 7'2", with a
that's
father
right.
like Manute.
That's right.
Yeah.
Skinny, too,
That's
just
right.
like his
He
dad.
looks just, oh my gosh.
They both
amazing.
look like praying mantises.
That's right.
So. But again, here we are with the Hawks picking once again another way to build their roster. By the time the draft's over tonight, they may have a starting 5.
That's right. They might.
All right, who's up next?
With the 11th pick in the 2019 NBA draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select P.J. Washington, a forward from Kentucky. Now, Timberwolves can go in a lot of different directions, and Washington would be a good fit for Coach Ryan Saunders. He's a good post scorer. Defensively, Washington has a chance to be an impact player because of his strength and size.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you,
No,
but
good player.
usually we see a ton of Kentucky players. First one made it all the way to 11.
That is a little surprising, but I think he'll get guys a chance to step in and be an impact.
Yeah.
Especially being with Karl Anthony Towns, Nick. Hey, you may never know.
Yeah, and you still got Andrew Wiggins there, who's I think his contract's starting to look worse and worse because he hasn't really developed like they thought he would. But K-A-T there, he's obviously a stud. Yeah. Up next, Charlotte Hornets with the 12th overall pick, taking Goga Bitadze out of Georgia. But not the Bulldogs. It's literally the country of Georgia. Another center coming off. So some scouts have Bitadze as the top international prospect in the draft. Now he reminds some evaluators of a Marc Gasol type center who can play facing the basket because of his smooth shooting touch. Now will he defend like Gasol? Probably not. Now look, I know I kind of made these picks here, but I'm not real happy with this one as a Hornets fan.
Yeah, the Hornets are high on him, but they've already got a kind of post-up player who can shoot jump shots in questionable defense in Frank Kaminsky.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
And we've talked about this. I know I've mentioned it several times. I feel like over the last 5, 6, 7 years, we've drafted the same player over and over and over. And this is another case, right?
Yeah. That's what I see. I mean, I don't know a lot about the guy, so maybe I'm not being fair. Yeah. But I don't like it at all.
Yeah. I wouldn't either, especially if you got a GM like Mitch Mupchak, pretty much know what he's doing, but at the same time, like you said, we got a lot of pieces that Charlotte needs to rebuild on.
Yeah, and as we were discussing before we came on, Kid Gilchrist opted in. That surprises nobody because he ain't getting that on the open market.
Who else is giving him $13 million?
Exactly. All right, who's next, Jeremy?
With the 13th overall pick in the 2019 NBA draft, the Miami Heat select Nasir Little, forward from the Chapel Hill Tar Heels. The Heat needs to add talent through the draft because of a horrible salary cap situation. Little was a top prospect but didn't impact games as you would expect as a freshman. He has a higher ceiling than any other prospect available.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier how Nasir coming in was supposed to be the big guy on campus as a freshman.
Yeah.
We saw Kobe kind of overshadow him a little bit, but Nasir, still a good player.
Yeah, and he came on strong in the NCAA tournament this year.
Did.
I think his stock went through the roof, and I'll be personally surprised if he's on the board at 13. Now, he might be. I would love if he's still there at 12 and the Tar Heels take this guy from Georgia. I mean, the Hornets take this guy from Georgia. I'll be highly disappointed.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I would like to see them take Nasir Little.
I think he's got a huge upside.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, gosh, we used the word upside. I know.
All right, who's up next?
Oh, with the 14th pick in the 2019 NBA draft, the Boston Celtics select Rui Hachimura, a Gonzaga forward. Now, the Celtics have 3 picks and could certainly use them in a trade, whether to move up or to acquire another player. But if they keep the pick, a player like Hachimura, a forward who could help right away because of his smarts and effort, could be the pick. You just never know.
So here's what's going on in Boston. You've got Kyrie Irving, who
It's tough to read.
Yeah, and they've said they used the term ghosted, which I feel like I'm a little too old to be saying. But I'm assuming that means that he hasn't really contacted them. They don't know what he's doing. Obviously, this guy won't replace Kyrie, but is Boston in a situation? You still got Gordon Hayward, you still got Jason Tatum, but is it kind of time for them to maybe take a different direction?
Well, I'm not the hugest Kyrie fan. Let him walk.
I agree. I think he's a little overrated.
Yeah, let him walk and start over. And if this guy's got a similar game, I mean, and doesn't mind distributing the ball, you got some guys that can score it.
Yeah. All right, up next with the 15th pick, the Detroit Pistons take the second Kentucky player. That is Tyler Herro, Kentucky guard. Now, the Pistons, they need shooting, even if it means drafting another off-ball guard. Now, obviously, Blake Griffin is the cornerstone there, but as I just mentioned, somebody's got to shoot the ball and not just dunk it all the time.
Yeah, because you got Blake Griffin, you got Andre Drummond there, also got Reggie Jackson. They, like I always said, your backcourt is doing pretty well, but you need a front court in order for Detroit to compete in the Eastern Conference.
Yep. All right. Who's up?
With the 16th overall pick in the 2019 NBA draft, the Orlando Magic gets Romeo Langford, forward from Indiana. He needs to improve as a shooter, but Langford's other skills has scouts intrigued.
Now, Orlando snuck in last year, or this past spring, with a 42-40 record to get in the playoffs. I know that surprised me, surprised a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Romeo, a guy that not a whole lot of people talked about this year, but he was another one of those big-time freshmen. Be interested to see how he pairs up with the players down in Orlando.
I agree.
All right. Let's see you pronounce this one, Bran.
All right, let's go. With the 17th overall pick, the Atlanta Hawks select Sakal Demboyu from France.
Works for me.
Very high upside prospect with the chance to be a versatile defender. And I don't know a lot about him. Honestly, I've never seen him play. but the scouts are pretty high on him.
And once again, the Hawks now 3 picks within the top 17, so they got a lot of things to work with here. Up next with the 18th pick, the Indiana Pacers select Keldon Johnson. I got all the Kentucky picks here. Another guard from Kentucky. Now, he might be better suited as a small power forward, but he plays with force. Pair him up with Victor Oladipo.
How tall is he?
I'm not really sure.
I think he's like mid-6s.
Yeah, he's 6'5", somewhere in there.
I think I remember watching him play at Kentucky. He's a pretty good player.
He is. And, Indiana was a little bit down this year, got swept in the first round. I expect them to make a comeback for next year. All right. Let's hear it.
With the 19th pick in the 2019 NBA Draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Brandon Clark, forward from Gonzaga. A really good athlete, a bit a little undersized as a front court piece.
So you're the Spurs fan. What do they need?
Really, to be honest with you, I think this will be a good pick for San Antonio, but you gotta need a guard. You need some guards. You need a forward. I mean, they just announced yesterday Tony Parker's retired for the NBA. We need to rebuild, probably get young, so for us to still compete in the Western Conference.
Real quick before we move on, Kawhi Leonard. Does that break your heart that he left and then won a championship with Toronto?
He did a little bit, but I was happy for him to win one. But overall,
yeah, it hurts a little bit.
Yeah, he could have won another one with us. It's been fine.
Right. All right, who we got next?
All right, with the 20th pick in the 2019 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics select Kevin Porter, a guard from USC. That's got a top 8 talent, but because he's been a little bit inconsistent, he's all over the boards. And I think if he's still there at 20, I think this will be a good pick for Boston.
Absolutely. Now, this could potentially be the guy to help replace Kyrie.
I agree. I agree. This guy could be your one right here. It could be a sleeper pick if he's still there at 20.
All right. Up next, the Oklahoma City Thunder. There are a lot of dashes in this one here. They're going to be selecting Virginia Tech guard by the name of Nikhil Alexander Walker. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's cousin here, former Kentucky Wildcat. This is his cousin. He's a do-it-all guard who's rising on some boards. Oklahoma City, obviously you got Westbrook there. You got Paul George. Maybe this guy slides in, can feed those guys the rock a little bit. We'll have to wait and see. All right, Boston's up again. Who we got?
With the 22nd overall pick in the 2019 NBA Draft, the Boston Celtics drafts Ty Jerome, guard from University of Virginia. A favorite of college scouts, Jerome ball handling and shot will keep him in NBA rotations. More likely, you got Jason Tatum, Terry Rozier. Depends on what Kyrie Irving's going to do. I see him in a situation where he could be a 6th man.
All right.
Yeah, good pick right here for you.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely. All right, who we got next?
With the 23rd pick, the Memphis Grizzlies select Cam Johnson from the University of North Carolina.
Woo-hoo.
A floor-spacing big would benefit by having strong defenders around him. I love this pick. I love Cam Johnson. He's my favorite Tar Heel from last year.
Yeah.
Good pick.
Kind of a do-it-all player.
Right.
And we really saw that.
Just really skyrocketed his senior year and went up. I mean, nobody saw him as a first-round talent going into his last year at Carolina.
No. And, I feel like it's been a while since we've had this many Tar Heels come out of the first round. And here we are, 3 within the top 23.
Yep.
I don't think we'll see what's his name? Luke. I don't think we'll see Luke May at any point.
Not even in the second round.
No, probably not. Up next, though, with the 24th overall pick, the Philadelphia 76ers select Carson Edwards, a guard out of Purdue. Another guy that had a great run in the NCAA tournament and can space the court with deep range. And that's what we see in the NBA now.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to be Steph Curry and shoot it from 30 feet out. This is a guy that can do it. Now, the 76ers have a lot of decisions to make this offseason.
Yeah.
One of those is, do you retain J.J. Redick? If they make this pick, perhaps you don't need to.
I mean, certainly a younger, cheaper version, and he lit it up in the tournament.
Yes, he did.
Purdue was fun to watch.
And there was for a while there where this guy was listed as like a top 5, maybe top 10 pick.
Yeah.
I know he's dropped back some, but that could be a very good value pick for the
agree.
Sixers.
Totally.
All right, who's up?
With the 25th overall pick in the 2019 NBA Draft, the Portland Trailblazers select KZ Okapa from the University of Sanford, forward. Could be a nice 3 and D prospect if he develops consistency.
Yeah, and we're getting to the point now of the draft where sometimes you have to kind of take a flyer on some of these guys and help them develop to be the kind of players that you want.
That's what the G League's for.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Portland, though, had a really great season last year.
they
Damian
did.
Lillard is
they were-
underrated.
He's a great basketball player.
Yes.
Great basketball
Matter of
player.
fact, McCollum, another
Yep,
underrated
that's
guy.
right.
I know they play up there in the Pacific Northwest. They don't get a lot of attention.
But I mean, that's the best Portland's been, I think, since the early 90s.
I agree.
I
Clyde Drexler days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really think they're good.
Yeah. All right. Another tough name for you.
With the 26th pick, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Mafundu Cabangel, forward from Florida State. Now,
Nailed it.
Yeah, did I really?
Yeah.
Okay, lost the light here, size, length, skill, but he's raw. Now I watched him at Florida State this year, but I watched a lot of ACC basketball. This kid's got some talent.
Yeah.
And got some potential.
And, like you said, size, length, and skill, quite raw. Again, that's kind of what we're going to see at this point in the draft.
That's right.
But a
One of
guy.
those flyers you talked about.
And look, Cleveland has the time and the opportunity to let this guy develop.
That's
so
right.
I can see that happening.
Yep.
With the 27th pick, the Brooklyn Nets select Darius Garland. Now, he's a forward. There's no school listed.
No.
That's because the Syracuse and Ohio State commit didn't play in college. So this is more of a long-term prospect. Real quick, do you guys see this happening more often where guys just say, you know what, I'm not going to go to college for
Yep.
a year. Why?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and you're starting to see more guys go over to other overseas for a year
Yeah.
to devote their game, rather than where they get paid.
And there's been talk also of the G League paying players.
right.
And at that point, what's the point in going to school if you
That's
know you're
right.
going to go after 1 year?
That's
So,
right. Why?
Yeah.
That's right. I
All
agree.
right. Who's up?
With the 28th overall pick in the 2019 NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors select Nicholas Claxton, forward from University of Georgia. Really unique size skill combination for a big man.
And actually, this time, Georgia University,
That's right.
not the
Not
country.
the country this time.
Now, look, the Warriors also have some decisions to make this year. Klay Thompson obviously got hurt at the last game he played in. Don't know how long he's going to be out for. KD's got that torn ACL. He could potentially be out for the entire year.
Yeah.
I thought Achilles.
What are you going to do with this pick? At this point, you just hope Steph Curry stays healthy.
That's right.
right?
I mean, really, you got Curry, Iguodala, and Draymond Green as your core for next year.
Yeah, and
and
that's-
so whoever they're drafting, they're really hoping can contribute a little bit.
And, I mean, look, they're still the
they're
Warriors.
still-
They're
still
going to
gonna be
make the
good.
playoffs,
That's
but
right.
is the West kind of up for grabs
Yeah,
now, especially now the ADs in LA?
I think those two injuries
absolutely
opened up the West.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you can make
as well.
case for Houston. You got Houston, San Antonio, and even the Lakers now. So.
Yeah, Lakers definitely in there. All right, speaking of San Antonio, who they got?
San Antonio Spurs with the 29th pick select Luka Samanic from Croatia, a forward. Maybe the next Tony Kukoc.
Nice.
Oh, my
A star
God.
of the pre-draft workout process. He could be picked sooner. I don't know a lot about him, but Croatia's produced some pretty good players over
Yes,
the years.
they have. Tony Kukoc.
Did you
That was
just say
great.
Tony Kukoc? I heard
Yeah.
that day since he was playing with Jordan in the 90s.
That's right.
All right, and finally, wrapping it up here with the 30th overall pick in the 2019 NBA draft, the Milwaukee Bucks, who won 60 games this year, best in the league, will be selecting Bruno Fernando, another center, this time out of Maryland. Great measurable assets, still a lot to learn on the court, and as we said several times, at this point in the draft, that's kind of what you're
That's
dealing
right.
with. The Bucks. You got Antetokounmpo, who's literally a do-it-all
Yeah.
player. In my opinion, probably, even with LeBron and still in
Yeah.
the league, maybe the best player
He
in the
might
league.
be right now. He might.
Yeah.
If he hasn't passed him yet, he's right there with that
He's on
baton's
his way.
passing.
Now that LeBron's getting
Yeah.
into his twilight years. So there you have it. That is the Ross 2019 NBA mock draft. I'm sure it will go exactly like
That's
we
right,
just
exactly.
played it out.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
And
Pick.
so we appreciate everybody tuning in. Of course, the draft tonight at 8:30, I believe, on ESPN. If I'm wrong,
That's right.
sue me or don't. Anyway, that is Bran Faw. That is Jeremy McKenzie. I am Matt Harrelson, and hopefully the Charlotte Hornets will not make a terrible mistake tonight.
hope
But
not.
anyway, we appreciate you tuning in and have a great week.